So what do the Phoenix Suns do moving forward? And can these guys finally get themselves into the postseason? Well, it's going to be year 6 for Devin Booker next year. It's pretty wild to say. It's been this long for him now. He has gotten better through his playmaking, his efficiency, and whatever else. I don't really think he would ask for a trade or anything. I feel like he's pretty all in on Phoenix, and they've got him under contract for a while, so if we were ever going to get to the Devin Booker trade rumors, we're probably like 3 years away from that, really. So they've got time, but you're going to want to see some turnaround probably starting next season. I mean, if we look at Deandre Ayton's improvement, I mean, I think he's showing some interesting things this year, but he might still have to make a jump defensively, and, you know, is he going to have to be more of a force offensively? Because he can certainly give you the points, but it's like, is 18, 19, low 20s in points per game, is that enough for a center who's not great defensively to really give you like a net positive overall? I don't know. I mean, I think Ayton's certainly talented and he's good, but we know how it is in the NBA nowadays, three-point shooting and all that stuff. So there's a question there, and Ayton's progress is always an interesting thing to me. I did a video on him not long ago, and unfortunately we just haven't been able to see him too much this year because of the suspension. But depending on his jump next year, I think that's a huge potential improvement for this Phoenix team. Oubre has been good, and I think there were some rumors a little bit about a trade for Oubre or something. I might be dead wrong on that one, but I think Phoenix should certainly hold on to him. Now, could they get scared about his next contract if he continues to be playing really well? I mean, maybe, but wouldn't you just hold on to him? I mean, you need as many good players as you can get, really. Now, at the same time, if you think you're going to have to pay him like north of $30 million a year, well, okay, maybe then the conversation gets a little more interesting, but I would like to believe we're going to see Oubre on the team next year. In terms of free agents they should hold on to, I think the main one is Aaron Baines. I mean, we all know the impact he's made on them with his defense and his rebounding and occasionally being Steph Curry. And then you've got all these other guys. You got Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges and Kaminsky and, well, I guess those are the main ones. You got Okubo as well, Javon Carter. Are any of these guys going to take off in some way? I mean, Mikal Bridges, he seems like he can be an awesome 3-and-D guy. His arms are ridiculously long. His efficiency has improved this year, and okay, I think he remains someone you got to give minutes to. He's been getting a lot of minutes lately. Cameron Johnson could be a knockdown shooter for you. To be fair, he kinda already is. I mean, what is he shooting? 5 threes a game at about 40%? Like, that is pretty damn good, and that was his whole thing going into the NBA. It's just, is there another level to get to with him as a shooter? I mean, he is tall. Could he have like a Davis Bertans sort of impact? I mean, I think Bertans has him in height by a little bit, but just that tall dude who can hit contested threes more so than just open catch and shoots. Because up to this point, that is the majority of Cam Johnson's attempts, which is fine. I mean, you're usually not going to get a guy who is really good at one thing as a rookie, so that's nice, but just, you know, I think it's a fair question. Can he go to another level as a shooter besides just being a guy who can make open shots? Can he move off the ball? Can he be a sort of spacing thing for you where defenders have to chase him around and switch on him all the time? Because that could potentially open up Phoenix's offense a lot. I mean, if you can go with, you know, Booker and Cam and Oubre, and DeAndre may not be a shooter, but he can certainly be a presence rolling to the rim and all that. So there is an avenue for this team being great offensively. And I don't think Cam Johnson is like the make it or break it part, but he is kind of a key piece in this whole thing, in my opinion. Now, of course, Phoenix does have their first round pick. I don't think they should consider trading it or anything like that. Could they contemplate moving a lottery protected first somewhere down the road? Maybe if the right move came along, but I don't really know there. I mean, there's a fine line between being aggressive and just being dumb. I mean, I think what the Wolves recently did was smart aggressive with moving their pick, because where the hell else were they really going? Whereas with Phoenix, I think it's a little different. As far as who they should draft, I really have no idea. I don't know much about the draft. By all accounts, it's not that good. Also, we have no idea where Phoenix is going to end up in the new, more random lottery. So I honestly, you just hope they get a good player. I mean, in terms of like need that they have, I guess this team could use a 4 who can be very versatile, you know? Someone who can make a shot, make a play some defense. But everybody would love to have that guy, and there's not a lot of those guys to go around. So if one of those dudes is in the draft, cool. If not, you take what you can get, really. And even then, there could be a guy like that, but he could be more of a high-risk type of dude. You know, the draft is always very weird. Do I think they have a chance to get one of those guys in free agency or something? Because I do think they're going to have some money to play with. I mean, assuming it doesn't take too much to re-sign Baines and they don't bring back Saric. I mean, Saric could have been that 4 that I'm talking about, but I don't know, man. Saric has just never really taken off as a player. I mean, at what point do we just acknowledge Saric just might not be that good? And even then, as I say that, I think, man, you know, he's had some good shooting numbers. He can go off the dribble. I don't know. Maybe he just hasn't found the right team yet. But the hell was I talking about? Oh, free agency. Yeah, they could probably afford something. I mean, the draft pick will probably cost them, what? Somewhere between 5 to 7 or 8 million. And then you re-sign Baines for, let's say, 10 at the most. I don't know what it would take for him. So you're adding 15 million to your salary, and now you're at like 106 in money. And the cap, well, the luxury tax is 139. So yeah, that could give you your mid-level or some sort of an exception. So you could get someone, and perhaps you can get a dude who could help you. Maybe, I mean, he doesn't really do much on offense. Maybe like a Mo Harkless, you know? Maybe Phoenix could use one of those types of guys if they're confident in the rest of their shooting. But even then, do you want to put a non-shooter out there with Rubio? That could be a little iffy. They've got some options there, depending on what they want to do. In terms of other potential trades they can make, I mean, I guess we could see like player swaps, but even then, who would be the guy you wanted out? I mean, I guess you bring up Oubre again, you know, the kind of younger dude who maybe to another team would be very valuable, but to Phoenix, perhaps they would not view him as essential, especially if they believe they got to pay him too much, you know, after next season. And perhaps that could be your way to get some defense and whatever in there, but I don't know. It's what it always comes back to. I don't know. We can only speculate. There's a chance that they're in the running for some star player, because that happens in the offseason every year now. As far as projecting, let's say they do well in the offseason, okay? Draft a player who helps them out day one, get a nice free agent signing. Let's say Ayton improves on both sides of the ball, a little more aggressive on offense, more of a force rather than finesse post-move guy. And then no drastic injuries, stuff like that. Could they compete for the playoffs? I mean, it is difficult to project the West playoffs next year, besides the obvious reasons of we don't know what the hell is going to happen over the next few months, because you're looking at it, the Pelicans are going to be better. The Blazers are hopefully going to be better if they do a better job of surrounding Dame with talent, and they just don't have the injury bug. The T-Wolves are probably going to be better just off of D'Lo and Towns being healthy and together for a whole year. Golden State is, of course, going to be better. It's going to be a pretty loaded West next season. And I don't think any of these established teams are going away. I mean, Memphis is probably going to be better. Houston is a little weird because if they have a disappointing playoff finish, then D'Antoni and Morey could be out, and who knows what that means for the players. But, you know, maybe there's a world. Perhaps there's a world where Phoenix gets 40 wins or something. I mean, they looked like a surprise team early on this year. They fell back down to earth, and depending on how they finish, they could get with 30-something wins, which is still improvement at the end of the day. So I guess it's not a ridiculous idea to think they finish with mid-30s this year and then they take another jump next season to get to the 40s, but even then, that jump is difficult, man. I mean, we say this more than ever with teams. It's, oh, they're on the rise, and then it finally gets to the year where they're supposed to make the big jump, and they don't do it because of fit and overall talent, maybe not being as good as we thought it would be. I'm not saying that's going to happen with Phoenix, but it could. And if you forced me to pick at this very moment, I apologize to Suns fans, but I don't think they'll make the postseason next year. I think they could be interesting and fun, and maybe they could get a break off of injuries or whatever else, but assuming nothing crazy happens in the West next year where one team is way better than we think and another team is way worse, I think it's really tough to put Phoenix into that top 8.